It's FoosTalk Live.
You talking to me?
Compelling and lively banter.
Are you going to talk to us?
Talking foosball.
Foosball was how I measured my value as a man. You took that away.
Players and fans, promoters and pros. Unedited and raw.
Talk.
Living in the moment.
We have a lot of important things to talk about.
All while practicing social distancing.
Cool. We'll talk. No big whoop.
Let's get this thing started. FoosTalk Live. Coming to you live from the studios of Foosball Radio and inside Foos TV. It's the 41st episode of FoosTalk Live, brought to you in part by 518 Prints, one of the best printers of promotional items, t-shirts, jackets, hoodies, and foosball apparel. Visit 518prints.com today. Brought to you in part by Foosballers the Movie. Download a copy of the Joe Hesslinger documentary of foosballersthemovie.com. Also brought to you today by Foosball Clubs USA, promoting foosball through school systems all over the country. Visit foosballclubsusa.com and make a donation today. And brought to you by the USTSO, United States Table Soccer Organization, helping to usher in a new era of competitive foosball. Become a member and register at usafoosball.com. Well, hey there, it's Tom Robinson. We're back together again for another edition of Foos Talk Live. This being our 41st episode, the second one of the new year, I believe, or unless, of course, I'm losing track of time. Maybe I need my timekeeper. All the way from Colorado, Jim Stevens. Jim, am I getting the time right here?
No, not at all, Tom. You're correct about the year. It is 2021.
Okay.
I want to say this would be our actually fourth. Is it
the fourth? Third or fourth
show.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And see, I'm not accurate. I'm sure Clay Toomey will.
Jesus, we're 30 seconds in and we got two fake stats. So if Mark wants to come in and bring us a third, well, that'll round it out real nice.
Yeah, Mark. You got any false statements?
Am I here?
Wow.
You guys ready? Start the show?
He is ready to sing.
How we doing?
He's ready.
Welcome to my show, you
sing.
guys. Welcome to my show. Thanks for coming back.
What happened to the exercises, the tongue twisters? No?
Okay, we're good.
All right.
We're ready.
Yeah.
I kind of like the Sound of Music thing, though. The do re mi fa sol la ti do. That was beautiful, Mark.
If I want to stun you with talent, I could do it at any time. That's not the goal here, Jim. It's to be entertaining. Focus.
What is the term they use these days? The younger generation, they might say hella good or freakish good, or what's the term?
I'm sorry, Tom, but that phrase is from California and it's about 40 years old, bro. So I don't know what's going on.
New York. Got to New York about 2.5 years ago, Mark.
Hella good. What? I was saying what? No. Anyway.
No idea.
Yeah, man.
No Doubt, I think, did a song. No, it was definitely, it was a Southern California thing. Made it up to the Northern California about 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
No.
Hey guys, great to be back. Mark missed out last week. I wasn't here the week before. This is the first time we've been together, all three of us now, in about 3 weeks
since the new year.
Mark, you missed a great talk with your old NorCal buddy there, Chris Doobie, last week. What a great show. He was so good. We literally could have probably gone for 4 hours last week, Tom Robinson.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I mean, Chris is really, he's a magnanimous individual to start with, but just has so many stories. So many stories.
Did he tell a story? I missed the show. Did he tell a story about grabbing a trophy when he took second place and smashing it on the ground?
He did.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Hilarious.
No, he definitely did not come up short when it came to telling good stories.
Nice. Well done, Jim. Well
Wait
done.
a minute.
Wasn't expecting it. Well done.
But and normally, guys, we do our top fives, and we've done. Boy, how many top fives have we done? And it was a little difficult to come up with one this week, although I'm sure in the future we will be able to come up with them. But tonight, folks, we're going to do something, I guess, called a segment called Hot Topics. All four of us, including Clay Toomey, are going to talk about what we think could happen, should happen in the future when it comes to foosball, some ideas, a vision that we might have, some changes we might make, whatever each of us comes up with. In terms of rules, in terms of whatever related to foosball. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to toss it around and debate it.
It's no holds barred, by the way, guys. I mean, it's like, you want to stomp your buddy tonight? That's fine. Go ahead, stomp away, and we can all take it. I think.
Do Mark and Clay, either of them, even recognize that holds exist? Because they're never barred with those two, are they?
No,
I have no idea what you guys are talking
about. No idea whatsoever. No fear, no worries. Just forge ahead. That's it.
Yeah. And of course, we're also going to be joined by the Hall of Famer, Steve Beine, who will talk about his career, which started in the TS Tour in the 1970s. He'll talk about the Table Soccer Hall of Fame. He's on the executive board of that, as am I. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But a character, one of the funny guys, generally speaking, in foosball. Mark notes this as well.
Okay.
A guy who can tell a story or two, can't he, Mark?
Yeah, and he's got a dry, sneaky wit. Very clever, man. He's like,
dry, sneaky wit.
Very, very funny, man.
And he played a great deal with Johnny Horton, correct?
Yes, also a very tolerant man, apparently. But there's some historic, very interesting stories that come out of that relationship for sure.
Cool.
Some of which we can tell on the air, some of which we cannot. But
some of it documented in video. Dana Marr did that great In the Pits video, and Johnny Horton. No one's ever claimed that it was easy to play with Johnny. Johnny has infinite respect for Steve, and it's probably because Steve could put him between a bun and eat him like a hamburger if he wanted to. So Johnny was infinitely respectful of Steve, and probably one of the few people that Johnny ever respected that way.
That's quite an analogy, by the way. Did you come up with that off the top of your head?
Absolutely. Yes.
Like a burger in the bun.
Yeah. Burger in the bun. Burglar. Yeah. Beine.
Mark, did you have dinner? Yeah, Steve Beine, a member of the Columbus Police Department, I believe, in Ohio.
Oh,
retired.
Yeah.
And maybe and Steve, what does he go? About 6'7" and about
no kidding.
He's a very, very tall, very large man, and also but a sweetheart of a guy, and one of the great players ever, one of the great people that foosball has produced over the last 40, 50 years.
Over 7 feet in heels. I've seen it. Anyway.
Oh my God. Hold on. We got to save this for Steve when he gets on, because you just mentioned he had heels on. I mean, we're not talking like the soft shoe,
the late night. It was in New York. It was the 70s disco era. That's all
never mind. Okay. Well, we'll let him talk about that for sure. Wow, man. You guys are in rare form tonight. There's something in the air. Is it because of the full moon, possibly? Or could it be that we just haven't had enough social lubricant?
What Jim and I like to do right about this time is to reveal our favorite IPA.
Now, I know, Jim, it's always 5 o'clock or someplace, right? So why don't you?
That's what they say. Yeah. There are 24 different time zones in the world. Coincidentally, the same number of hours. So yes, it is always 5 a.m. and always 5 p.m. somewhere.
And what would your choice be?
Tonight, I am going to stick in the state of Colorado, Lafayette, Colorado, which is up in the Front Range, actually not too far from where they hold the Colorado State Championships there in Thornton.
Oh, nice.
It's from the Odd 13 Brewing of Lafayette, Colorado. It's a hazy IPA called Codename Superfan.
Ooh, Superfan. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's 6.5% alcohol by volume. Hops are Citra, Simcoe, and Equilinaut. And it does have the 2-row malts, Golden Promise, red wheat, white wheat, and Carafoam in it. Very descriptive on the label of what is in this beer. It's the Codename Superfan. Let's find out. Hold on.
Sounds tasty.
Oh, that's yummy. That is
tasty. Yeah, you had more than one sip there, by the way.
It was a very large one.
Yes. Very cool.
I like to make my first sip of a beer a big one.
There you go. Yeah, it lasts. Okay, so I'm sticking to home turf here. In the same town where the 518 plays, the 518 Foosball Club plays, Clifton Park, New York. It's called Threes Brewing. It's called like Galaxy India Pale Ale. They call it Imagined Reality. And by the way, it has the picture of a wolf howling at the moon. We just had the full moon, which is called the wolf moon, this last week. So that's why I chose this Imagined Reality for this week's tasting. Let's try it. All right, here we go. Oh, remarkable. Almost as good as the 518 Foosball Club. Oh, certainly. Good taste. All right.
You know what? You ever watch a cooking show? No one ever like tastes the food when it's cooked and says, "Man, that tastes like ass." No one ever does that. I'm waiting for one of you guys to just say, "Oh," just spit your beer out and dump it out and be like, "What?"
What?
It'll never, fine. Let's deal with the contrivances.
What
It's
are you
always the most
drinking?
amazing thing ever. All right,
Genius. What are you drinking?
LaCroix, man, lemon flavor, same as 3 weeks ago, probably the same can. It tastes like ass. No. I want a response. I want promotion from LaCroix. It was
lawsuit.
amazing. Oh my gosh, cases of it. I'm just gonna pour it on my head right now. Oh yeah, so good, so good.
It's not how you drink. You pour it in your head, not on your head.
And
okay.
and Clay, of course, we'd like to know what you're imbibing on this evening.
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked. I have a 2020 Aquafina bottle of water.
Nice.
And actually, I'm going twin engine tonight. I got the water, and then I have a Dr.
Ooh,
Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
Little can of Dr. Pepper.
Man.
Yeah, ice cold.
Wow. Well, you are in the South.
Well, he comes from the home of Dr. Pepper, right there.
Not
That's
only am
right.
I in the South, I'm in Texas, which is where Dr. Pepper was born and bred. Yep.
Correct.
In another country, in another time.
Mhm.
Texas, USA. All right. Wow.
So I'm
Very
alternating
cool.
back and forth between water and Dr. Pepper.
Well, now I'd like you all to raise your glass because we now need to do the honor group of the week, which we are toasting this week for a PDX Foosball Club. Portland, Oregon. The Foosball group out there. They're responsible for the Moneyball event, and a lot of the great players of the day of the Golden Day are there in Portland. That could quite a scene.
Yeah, no, that's so true. It's awesome that we are toasting those guys. I love those guys up in the Pacific Northwest. Get to go up there every year to cover that Moneyball event. And as you say, Tom, a lot of old timers live up there. Literally, when the senior event is the biggest event of the weekend, generally, with more than 25 teams, oftentimes in the senior event, and a lot of those are players who played in the 1970s, and really quite a tradition up there. And
Very cool. Very cool.
That's cool. Here's to you guys for sure.
Yeah. To the PDX.
Cheers.
Down the hatch.
That feels like an airport code too. PDX.
It does,
is.
doesn't it?
It is, right?
PDX?
Yeah.
Nailed it. Yeah,
So
good
like
job.
LAX,
Yeah, DFW.
BWI?
Yeah, that was actually the last tournament I worked. Last year's Moneyball event at the end of February.
Cool.
Right before the world changed. And so I'm looking forward to heading up there again this year, if possible.
Yeah. Especially if the weather's good, right? I mean, that always helps.
It does, although I think it rains about 200 days a year in Portland.
Yeah.
But it's still a
Typical.
really great town, really a great town.
So I know that this is probably something we'll eventually get to, but I do wanted to tip a hat to those who got a chance to play this weekend at the tour opener, in Lexington, Kentucky. I know that there's the entire event was a little smaller than normal, but yeah, I mean, I know that Sullivan Rue did great. Mark, what was the? I know you mentioned that earlier tonight. What happened with Sullivan this weekend?
She was completely on fire. So she won expert singles in dominating fashion, scoring like it. And
Wow.
usually Sully, you watch Sully play, and she's long happy, but she was shooting the second hole split and the 3/4 split, and she was unblockable pretty much because she then went ahead and won pro doubles with Kevin Romero playing goalie for her and lit the dude up. I don't know who the
Wow.
guy was, but I just was like, wanted to cover my eyes because she just crushed the ball. Kevin Romero was passing to her. She was catching everything. She mixed it up on her 5-bar. Usually Sully could be counted on to do a quick wall or second man lane and throw in a lane pass.
Okay.
And she went off the wall, brushed down, and then into a 3/4 split with her push shot. So one of those weekends where she had an incredible weekend.
No,
Are you
it
talking
doesn't.
about the pro doubles final? You didn't know who it was that she was lining up?
No, I don't know that.
Yeah, it was JLI. I looked it up.
I don't know
JLI.
JLI and Sammy
couldn't happen to a
Dijon,
better guy.
actually, they were in the
really,
finals,
really
right?
good shooter back there. JLI can really shoot. And speaking of good shooters, yes, Sullivan Rue, young woman. I'm thinking 17 now, and really, how much table time has that girl put in her life?
Seriously.
A lot. She really
Wow.
out physicals players, and if she does get to a point where her table management is where it needs to be and her focus is where it needs to be, the physical is going to be there. We know that.
Mhm.
And this is a young lady who certainly has the potential to be the best player in the world. And of course, she was part of that Team USA women's team that won last year in Mercia, year before last now. And so she does have some international experience as well. And that's really what it's going to be all about in the future, it's multi-table, it's being able to win internationally. It's great to be able to win on Tornado, but you also have to have that table management, the head game to win internationally.
Well,
I think she does, and well.
She's a second-generation Fooser. Let's not forget that. We have video of her in Foosballers, like practicing like a machine. So she might be approaching that 10,000 hours. Now, granted, I think she's 17, just college
17,
or whatever she wants to do vocational. After that, she's got all that to focus on. But the head game, the 10,000 hours, and just the focus and the intensity, it's all there. It's all coming together for her right now. She's getting to a place where she's a little bit scary.
Right.
I could see her winning an open doubles major at some point as a forward at this trajectory.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, she could do it. She could do it.
Jeez. Wow.
So
it's exciting. I mean, and I forgive me, guys, but I have to say how proud I am of Sammy Dijon for coming in second place in pro doubles.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Amazing.
The guy's he's 12.
He took third in open mixed, I think.
Yes.
I think he took third in open mixed.
I think
He came back in the losers bracket.
The only other player that we can really compare him to at this stage is Billy Pappas. Really, I don't believe there has been anyone else besides those two who have had such success at 10, 11, 12 years old. And if he ends up anything like Billy Pappas, of course, he's going to become one of the great players in the world. But it's really fun to watch what Sam's doing.
Yeah. You know what's funny about Sam, though? He's standing on a stool and he's getting pretty damn tall. So he might be as tall as Steve Beine right now. He might be 6'7" standing on at some point, it'll be hysterical if he ends up being like 6 foot tall and can't get rid of that thing.
Yeah.
He'll still be standing on it when he's like 17 years old.
What's the official rule on that, by the way? I mean, it is considered an aid at his age, but if he goes beyond, a certain height, he has to take it away, correct?
No, the rule doesn't
sit
say
on it is what it is. Yeah.
Really?
If you're going to use it, you got to sit on it. I don't believe there's a written rule for that.
No,
and
there's
we'll
not.
see how that all plays out.
Maybe there should be.
And maybe in the future there should be, and maybe that's something we should look at in the future.
Okay. All right.
Getting rid of
mix it up.
stools? You think we got to get rid
about
of
6'2"?
Maybe he should have to stand on a yoga ball when he's 15.
Yeah,
it has to
right.
be a yoga ball. Switch it up a little bit.
Make it unique. Oh, wow. But no, it's exciting. Here's a thought for future open mixed doubles, Sammy and Sullivan together. What do you think?
Oh yeah,
unstoppable.
We'll probably see it. We'll probably see it.
Yeah.
And here's the last thing I want to say about Sully. She's shooting a push shot.
Yeah.
And it is like when you have a wicked push shot and people aren't used to blocking it, aren't comfortable with it, she can shoot all the holes. It's a testament to what happens when someone revives. It's not like it's been revived, but the way she shoots it is high power, high precision at this point. Shooting a push, it's really, really great to see someone winning with a push shot like that.
Yes, absolutely. It's so unusual. So unusual. Yeah. But hey, the future is bright when it comes to the younger generation here, I gotta say. Very cool. Well, we've looked at the future. Let's glance back at the past.
With great moments in foosball history, this is a FoosTalk Live Flashback.
And you saw Beine make the switch and make the block. Match point for Horton and Beine. Sent up the table and into the goal, and there it is.
Baby! Yeah! We got it out! It's a digger! It's a digger!
Johnny Horton and Steve Beine in one of the best matches you're ever going to see. Defeat Robert Atha and Todd Lafredo to advance to the Open Doubles Final. Wow.
Listen in next time for another great moment in foosball history. It's FoosTalk Live Flashback.
I love that. You can hear Johnny Horton in the background. I'm 53 years old, man. 53.
That was an amazing event. Now, a couple of things made it interesting. Number one, that year, the IFB decided that open doubles, open singles were going to be best 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3s. In other words, single elimination.
Okay.
Johnny Horton, 53 years old. Steve Beine, maybe a couple of years older than that, get all the way to the finals in incredible fashion, in beating Gummison and McMillan along the way. You heard Atha and Lafredo.
Seriously.
Just incredible performance by these two. Benefited by the format in the sense that Horton is a guy, and anybody who's seen him play in a money match, in one match, he's going to be as good as anybody, right? it's those long 6, 8, 10, 12 matches that you got to play sometimes in a double elimination format that he would have difficulty with sustaining his intensity and focus. Well, here, basically, they played 4 matches to get to the finals.
Wow.
For best 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3s. So it benefited them to some point, to some degree, but still a win over those 2 teams in particular in the semifinal, rather in the quarterfinals, then in the semifinals, was a remarkable achievement. And our guest tonight was part of that. We're going to talk more with Steve Beine about what that experience was like and the general experience of playing with Horton as the night goes on.
Can I add some detail to that? Because Johnny's been texting me, and I've had like multiple phone calls with him over the past couple weeks. And I didn't know this about Johnny. So he starts talking to me, and he starts talking to me about a 17 and under singles event he played. And he starts listing where people placed, including, because I said, Johnny, my favorite players all time is Thor Donovan. He goes, oh, yeah, I played Thor Donovan singles event 17 and under. He starts listing the people and where they placed. He starts remembering, not unlike Frederic. Like Frederic has this eidetic photographic recall. And I don't want to go so far, but he had minutia memorized about an event he played 17 under some 40 years ago. And so I would just
78,
yes.
I believe it was.
And so if we're talking about an event where it's 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, don't leave it past Johnny. And Johnny has a remarkable, brilliant foosball brain. For all the antics and all the wildness, things I did not know until I started talking about Johnny, don't leave it past Johnny. And this shows about Steve Beine. So I want to get past Johnny in a second. Don't leave it past Beine to not pick up something in the first game and have it be for the rest of the match because the recall. So he sees a little thing, and he just, by that format could serve Johnny in any scenario because of his memory. He might have a nuance and just screw you with it for the rest of the match. That's how smart that guy is when it comes to a foosball table.
No, it's
no question about it. And you also think of what could have been with Johnny Horton to some degree. Had a great career, Hall of Famer, of course. But again, we'll talk with Steve a little bit more about Mr. Horton here in the next hour and a half.
Something tells me it's going to be a hot topic, no doubt. Speaking of which, we do have a new feature, but there's no playful sound to go with this. But hey, I think we can make it happen. By the way, this last was it 2 days ago, overnight here, it got to 13 below zero in upstate New York. So I need to thaw out a bit. So I think this is only appropriate. We turn up the heat with something called Hot Topic. And Hot Topic is simply this.
It's actually a weird little store where you could buy like weird shirts and stuff. But go ahead.
Hot mess. So what we're going to do here, we're going to talk about a topic we think should be important for the future of foosball. Whatever topic we choose, we have to debate among us. We have to kind of discuss. So we'll take our turns. I guess I'll go first. Jim second, Mark third, and Clay, you can certainly chime in at the end here. So, okay. The topic I'd like to discuss, my hot topic, is in the future, because I think that it's a little overplayed now. I think Europe has the right idea. Oftentimes you go to a European tournament and they have an event called the Classic, where a person who plays in the Classic cannot use anything but standard shooting and passing. They cannot use the rollover snake. It's not considered a classic. So in the Classic, you must use pull, push kick, pull kick, that kind of thing. I think that from this day forward, or sometime in the near future here in America, we need to adopt something similar. If you're doing a major tournament, you have to have a Classic event, not necessarily the whole thing, but an event at the tournament. That's my hot topic.
So you're saying a doubles event, for example, where you could not use the snake shot. Everything else goes. It encourages the use of the kick shots, obviously pull shots.
Yep.
Of course, Warrior has tried this with some success. Basically, their open events are classic doubles, classic singles. Well, and Tony Sprademan has had to shoot a pull kick, and he still wins. But no, and ITSF has also implemented the classic format in the last 3 or 4 world championships, multi-table.
Okay.
And I think people really do enjoy it. But what do you got against the snake shot there, Tom?
I just think, when you look back on the classic days of foosball, of course, the 70s and the 80s, before was it the rollover snake was 1982, 83 when it first came in?
Well, that's when it was first
Yeah.
kind of showcased, but really not until the 90s was it used with
Gotcha.
any real effectiveness in terms of winning tournaments.
I just think that, it's kind of like prior to, I don't know, if you think about baseball and when performance enhancing drugs came into play. And all of a sudden we got Hall of Famers who may or may not have utilized that. It's not exactly the same thing because we all see that you've got the snake shot. You're good at it, whatever the case. I just think that the snake shot it's as someone has, I noticed somebody say this, that the snake shot is so easy to learn. It's something you can get adopt early on in your game. You don't necessarily have the experience necessarily to do a great snake shot. That's my point. I think that pull shooters, push shooters, this kind of thing, they have to develop a longer period of time to get an effective shot.
Why does that make it better for the game that you have to do it
Just-
over and over and over and over again before you can do it well?
Well, I mean, it requires more skill, correct?
No, it just could be a worse shot. Like a pull shot could just be a bad. I'm not saying it is, by the way. I'm just saying, like, if I was a major league pitcher, I'm a right-handed guy. Like it takes more practice for me to throw with my elbow because it's harder to do, but that doesn't make it better. It's just like, why can't I just like grab the ball and throw it?
Right.
I don't get why people I don't know, man. Why what's the big deal with the fact that a rollover is easier to execute in terms of like just flat execution than a pull shot? Like to me, I think they're both good shots. I don't have anything against the pull shot. But the fact that it's harder doesn't really mean it's better per se.
Well,
it's just
not necessarily that. I think that the other thing too is that the rollover snake, when it first was being utilized, wasn't it at first classified as illegal because it seemed like a full revolution or more than the man?
Mhm.
Yeah, they Tom Yor would probably be the expert on this, but I'll give I could probably answer and say, yeah, it was considered a spin because the guy went around like a full revolution or whatever. But I mean, they changed the rule for a reason. Like it's a good shot. Like it needs to be in the game. Like,
Okay,
it's
here's
legit.
let me take a hypothetical. Let's say the snake or the rollover was never ever allowed. It
Mhm.
never came to be. Would that have affected the careers of some of the players that are out there right now? Would they have been what they are now?
I think Tony Spreadman is going to be the best no matter what he shoots. Like Jim said, he shoots a pull kick on Warrior, still wins. And the reason for
Okay.
that is not because of the rollover. Tony doesn't win as a result of being a snake shooter. Tony
Mhm.
wins because he's better at you than he is. And I mean, he's just a better player. So he's going to
Right.
pass. He's going to defend. Tony doesn't get enough credit for being a good defensive player. His 5-bar defense, by the way, actually better than his 5-bar offense. And numbers don't lie on that.
Okay.
But the thing is, if you said before the match, hey Tony, I'll play $1,000 straight up. You shoot a push shot. Guess what? You're going to lose to Tony shooting a push shot, and it's not because the push shot's good. It's because Tony's good.
Right.
So, did the rollover make it?
Mark, you've been quiet here.
Yeah, I'll make 2 points. So the original question is, should there be more classic events? I have no problem with there being more classic events. That's like I think it's great. It's another. It's another rational event rooted in some conventional tournament kind of. It's fine by me. But the other question though is, would some people? Tony is an exception. I agree with you, Clay. I think like someone like Terry Moore, highly questionable if he would be. But you know what? I think here's the thing about the rollover. It made left-handed players more dominant. Terry is a left-handed player.
Did
If
it?
Murray had a rollover, he would have been like, he might have won more than he did with the pull shot. So the lefties, man,
That's a great point.
You just don't know if the lefties would have been more diminished without the rollover. But I guess back to the original question, I have no problem with more classic events. It doesn't mean less open events where the rollover can be used.
Sure.
I think there is a spot for risk shooters to enjoy the game without the rollover. I don't have any discrimination against that.
What about
How's that?
this? Let me offer a compromise, so to speak. Instead of calling it classic, which by the way, that's a dig at rollover shots. Like, let's be honest, calling it classic, and what it should be called restricted doubles, because you're restricted from using all the shots. But calling it classic, but that's another conversation. I think it'd be cool. Say, for example, you had like an event where it's a Swiss system, which is everybody knows is awesome. And it has like say 5 rounds. Each round you shoot a different shot, or each round shot is not okay to shoot. So round 1, no rollover. Round 2, no pull shot. Round 3, pull kicks only. Like something like that.
Cool.
I think that would actually be cool, and it would reach like a broader range of skill sets in order to win.
Sure.
You would have
Write
to be
that down,
better
Mark.
at more things.
That's a great idea. Let's do it. I'm not sure what you'd call it, potpourri doubles or whatever.
Just name it after me.
wait,
I'm actually okay.
potpourri?
Just call it clay doubles.
All right,
Clay
you're just
doubles.
clay to me.
Can I tell you what would happen, you guys?
the
Let me just
clay.
say what would
That.
happen before you go, Jim. What would happen is people would forget what the hell they're supposed to be shooting and have to ask, "What are we supposed to be shooting?" It would happen.
Well, technology
push
can
kick
help with
round or
that.
pull
We're
kick
good.
round? What round are we
What can
on?
I do now? What can I
Electric
do?
shock when they shot the wrong one. Two thoughts from me. Number one, I think obviously I have no problem with it as long as there's time, as long as it fits in. It's sort of a fun event. It sort of brings back the history of the sport, certainly. But it also encourages people to shoot pull kicks, push kicks, pull shots, push shots, pin series, back pin series. How about that? The other thing, and to sort of a little bit to address what Clay said earlier, the one thing I've seen over the years is I've seen so many players come fast. Within a year, they're competing in amateur, rookie, whatever, because they're shooting a snake shot. But they bypass the traditional way of learning the game, which is ball handling, which is pull shots, push shots, learning those basics beforehand, because it is easy to learn a snake shot. Obviously, you still have to be put in the practice time. You still got to understand the game in order to be successful with it. But a lot of players do bypass these other skills. Terry Moore being maybe the ultimate example of this. And he had a Hall of Fame career. Would he have with a pull shot? Probably not. And the thing is, Terry was not a guy that could do all these other things on the table necessarily. Didn't really have a great pull shot. Had an okay one. Couldn't really shoot push kicks or pull kicks or whatever because he jumped right to the snake shot without learning the basics.
Right.
And I've seen so many players over the years, mostly at the lower levels or expert on down, who have quit the game because it no longer stimulated their creativity. They were no longer, able to do so many things. It was just the same old rock, far side, near side, straight down the middle. The walking snake helped a little bit. But for me, Tom, you got my vote. I'd love to see it. Classic doubles. I'm a classic guy. I'm all for it.
All right. Jim, what is your hot topic?
Again, the focus tonight on the future of the game, and obviously this last year has given a lot of us a chance to sort of look at ourselves, look at the sport, understand that life is short and that, it's time to do some things. So for me, the one thing, and this has been something I've thought about for many years and more so over the last 6-8 months or so, it's how the sport is presented. Obviously, through live streaming, through television is one thing, but also on site at the events.
Yes.
Have any of you ever seen a dart tournament from England?
Oh,
darts, another tavern game. At least that's the way it's viewed, even though it's played at the very highest level. You have tremendous dart shooters. You have tremendous foosball players. It's a sport, no question. But it's viewed as a tavern game.
Right.
So why not create an environment of a championship arena with two teams, two players playing at the ultimate level, at high level strategic foosball, surrounded by this fun atmosphere of tables with people having a few beverages, hanging with their friends, watching the game on big screen TVs. And maybe they're not even foosball players, but they know it's a fun time. So they're going to come out, spend a little time at the foosball tournament, enjoy themselves, and watch some high-end professional play. An arena, obviously, generally at tournaments, I'm working with what I have to work with, which is a few risers, occasionally bleachers, some separators, rope and stanchion, etc. But why not have at least a half-curved arena, maybe even a fully circular arena where the spectators are right there on top of the players, creating this really intense competitive environment, and also an environment that people who watch other sports are familiar with. They see this on ESPN, they look at this and they go, wow, that looks intense, that looks fun, look at the crowd. It really creates this even crossover appeal to our sport.
I think you're onto something, though. I think you're definitely onto something here because of the fact that it generates the excitement in the proper environment. And I think the arena thing is definitely a must. We need to go in that direction.
For sure. And in between games, you play the rock jock, the jock rocks, rock jocks, whatever they're called, where you play the pumping music during timeouts, and in between games, you get the crowd involved.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing too, really, one thing we've tried at Inside Foos a year and a half ago before all of this, was we created these Saturday evening prime time foosball events. You can go check out a few of them on Inside Foos TV, the YouTube channel. But basically, for a 3-hour period, 4-hour period on a Saturday night, it was wall to wall, full on foosball content with matches, with interviews.
Right.
Just people visiting me in the booth, us doing pregame, postgame stuff. And the only way really that this works is if we gradually change over to the Swiss system.
Aha. That's where you're going.
It's used internationally. It's qualification rounds in the morning. It's elimination brackets in the afternoon, or in the evening. And this Swiss system allows us to time out the matches. You know exactly when you're going to play. You know exactly who you're going to play. You know exactly where you're going to play.
Okay.
And us, as a production company, we also know these things. So on a Saturday night, for example, 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, we know that's primetime foosball at Inside Foos TV, and also in person at the site itself with this party atmosphere, with this fun atmosphere.
Yeah.
And at 6 o'clock, you got one semifinal. 7 o'clock, you got another semifinal. At 8 o'clock, you got a final.
And you covered all.
Between these, you
cover all of that.
Pre and post game stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And so, yeah, it's content. You have interviews. You have talking heads discussing, and analysts discussing
I beg your
what
pardon?
just happened, what could happen. What's that, Tom?
I beg your pardon. Talking heads.
Talking heads, yes. Exactly.
Burning down the house.
But you have this environment, this professional environment, both in person to present it to the spectators, and of course for live streaming or for broadcast television potentially.
Sure.
Where you really treat it like a sport. You have control over the timing. It's got to be Swiss system. You want to make sure there's fun. You make it entertaining. You really put on a show for the viewers, both live and on streaming.
Well, Jim, I got to mention that one of our listeners, Penny Hunter, has offered in a point here about darts. Darts, there's a lot of gambling going on there. So, well, anyway, I'll just leave it there. Let it hang.
I'm going to jump on Jim's coattails because my hot topic is hand in hand with Jim's topic. And I've never committed my own personal time and energy or business acumen to foosball. But frankly, a sport cannot have its competitors be the primary spectators.
Right.
That is a big issue with foosball. The spectators are the competitors, and that's because there's no one watching foosball. No one wants to come in and see foosball except for the people that are so tired they're going to sit down, or they're interested in the match. Let me give some credit where credit is due. I think the reason there's no spectators, and it's a lack of being opportunistic and a lack of imagination. I don't know if I'm simultaneously insulting or just trying to identify solutions, but it could have been done. And if you just realize that when you go to a football game, okay, go to a football game and notice there are some people there, but tailgating has nothing to do with the football game other than the pre-show hype and the pre-event excitement of socializing. And there's the the last football game I went to, I hate the Chicago Bears, by the way. I got invited to a Bears game. We tailgated. We go inside. We're walking around the arena, bar hopping. We glance up every once in a while to see the game on the TV. At some point, we sit down with our alcohol and our food, but it's the spectator interest. It's the everything happening around the game that drives people. There's a way to do that. There's absolutely ways to do that in foosball, but by being opportunistic about the audience and giving them things to be entertained by, that's the first part. The second part is this: the rules, our foosball rules, absolutely need to change.
Yep.
The distraction rule is a joke. It is an absolute joke. And however, and maybe Beine, when we get Beine in here, we'll be able to talk to him about this. And you've heard me talk about this almost every week. And I'm glad there's been a week layoff at least, because you guys didn't hear me whining about it last week. This whole idea that our sport's supposed to be like golf. And here's what's sad. I was watching the live stream about Kentucky, and I almost wanted to earmark situations where someone complained about someone else whispering. Yep. And then some other weird jargon. There's so many situations where, because the rules are the way they are, people think their game is this place where they're allowed to have absolute silence and they should not ever have any engagement from the opposition. That is ridiculous. It's sad. It's a sad thing.
Difficult.
No one's ever going to watch our sport if you can't whisper to your opponent. And I want to change that wildly. I want to change the distraction rule radically, and I want to get it to the point where you could look up at your opponent and engage your opponent. You could talk to your opponent. Your opponent could talk to you. It'll be managed in a way that makes sure that you can't just like clap your hands in the face of a person while they're shooting. I think that's probably unfair.
Right.
But there's other ways to make it work. Anyway, my big thing is the sport has to be elevated like other competitive sports where you have social, especially our sport, because it's a table for crying out loud. And the average person has no idea what's going on. There has to be more going on at the table between the competitors. I'm on a mission to change that.
Be quiet. I'm trying to shoot here. I'm trying to shoot.
I know. Seriously, man. Seriously.
In reference
It's
to
about a 5-footer breaks slightly to the left.
yeah, oh my God.
Seriously.
That is not how I commentate. No, and you know what Mark says. Obviously, you know it can't be personal. It can't be directed, you know, during the middle of a pull shot or whatever. But
Right.
we need to foster more of an entertainment-based sort of atmosphere, and obviously the interaction with the players, the entertainment value of the players is going to be huge. And you know, these are things we definitely need to look at moving forward. No question.
It's going to be a gradual change. I don't think it's something that could happen overnight. But case in point, Mark, you mentioned Kentucky. You know, the tour kickoff. Watching that was painful because no one can even watch the matches because of COVID. They're supposed to stay separated. And you know they have their masks on or whatever, which is good. But you know there's no one standing there watching even the matches. There are one or two people walking by once in a while. It looks empty, and it got to wonder: does that affect the way should we say the adrenaline flows for a player? I mean, you'd think if there's people there clapping, you know, at least they'd be more into the match.
Right. No, they were terrified to clap. They might get so stared by one of the competitors because clapping is horrible.
You know, well, clap. You cannot clap. You can clap once, maybe.
Okay.
Golf claps only. But again, you know, looking forward into the future, presuming that the vaccine and safety measures influence things in a positive manner moving forward. I'll give you this stat real quick, and this is maybe not a fake stat. Maybe I don't have the numbers exactly.
We'll see.
Right.
I'll be the judge of that.
The ITSF has federations. The ITSF is represented in more than 50 countries worldwide.
Yes.
There is exactly one country that is having tournaments right now.
Wow. Which would be ours.
Whoa. Hey, Sherlock Holmes. Well done.
You know, obviously it's important. You know, it is obviously we're players, but we're also spectators, and we do want to. You know, again, as Mark put it so eloquently, we need spectators from outside the sport, and the sport is good enough. The sport is competitive enough. We can create an entertaining kind of environment to where we can draw that sort of viewership. Now, you know, Farid Lounis, who runs the ITSF and has run most of the World Cup events in his hometown of Nantes, France, where he is a great influencer. You know, whenever we go to Nantes, there are 1,500 to 2,000 people in the stands who are not foosball players who bought tickets to come in to this event because of the way it's sold. And of course, an advantage in Europe is that there is the soccer tie-in. These are soccer fans. It's soccer on a table. And of course, they've played it in any one of 200 different pubs around the city as well. So as Mark said, I think having a spectatorship from outside the sport is necessary and I think is coming.
Here's what I envision for the future. There is, let's say, the Durango Dragons, all in their uniforms, versus the 518 Foosers, and they're all meeting in the arena. And you got the one team sitting on one side, the other team sitting on the other side. You got 10 or 12 people on each team, and they're all charged up and cheering for their side. And behind them on either side are the people rooting, for the players and just whooping it up, man. Just having a great time. And every
Cobra
score
Kai
is
thing. I love it.
Yeah, there you go. Cobra
Sweep
Kai.
the leg. Sweep the leg, buddy.
This is
Clay. What's your hot topic, buddy?
I got to tell you, after hearing Mark, I'm kind of riled up. I felt like we should raise an offering. I don't know. I feel like I'm at church, man. That's a pretty good sermon he put on there. I like
it. Man. Set something on fire.
Just to add to that, I would say the whole talking thing is the dumbest thing in all of foosball, in my opinion. And that's not even my hot topic point or whatever. It's just a thought that I had while he was talking. I remember being like 8 or 9 years old. I played baseball when I was a kid. and I'm in the batter's box at a little first grade kid, terrified out of my mind because there's a guy my age trying to hurl the ball as hard as he can at me, and I'm supposed to hit it.
Yeah.
And by the way, meanwhile,
Catcher.
his entire team is behind the cage, yelling and
Yes.
screaming at me like a bunch of wild banshees in a zoo, and it's just like that. And hey, guess what? I survived it. I won't say if I turned out okay, but it that made the sport fun. And guess what?
Scarred for life.
When my team is your team is batting, I'm going to give you the same nonsense.
Yep.
And that's fun, dude. Like. I actually wouldn't, Mark said something about, maybe not while they're in the middle of a shot. And I'm saying, screw it, dude. If you can't shoot through, some noise, then go play, something else. Go
play chess.
Yeah, go play chess. But even still, dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, dude. Chess. I'm an avid chess player, and anybody who knows me knows I spent some years in prison. That's where I played most of my chess. And dude, the trash talking in chess in prison is some of the most fun I've ever had.
Shank you.
And it's brutal, and it's entertaining, and it's just amazing. It makes it fun. I mean, So, I think the whole silent, thing is. It's kind of overplayed in church. So I like to see.
Dude, I was playing pickup basketball up until our issue started with the pandemic, and let me tell you what, man. And these I'm talking about. I play with some geriatric dudes. Like this was a Monday, Wednesday, Friday game at 5 a.m. And these guys at 5 a.m. in their 50s, 60s, and one dude's in his 70s are in your grill. Talking like you're trying to shoot a basketball, and they're in your grill.
That's actually the real sport. The basketball is just like a side piece of the whole thing. Trash talking is actually where the real competition is.
That's great.
It's
Michael Jordan,
so good.
Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All of them.
The great.
Oh my, most of them. How about most of them? Yeah, most of them. Yeah. So good stuff, man.
It's why people pack a basketball stadium with 70,000 fans. They can barely see the court, and they're still there.
It's why it costs the most to sit the closest, because you get as close as you can to all the craziness.
Yes.
In the trenches.
I thought that was just to get away from all the people drinking beer in the cheap seats. I know I did.
That too.
Yeah. But my actual hot topic, and I'll be like 30 seconds on this because I know we're kind of over, but I just think it'd be nice to see a lot of the BS ranks and BS events kind of just done away with, because nobody really cares.
Clarify, please. Clarify.
God, get rid of events where the only people who care are the people who are playing. So if you have some random whatever event where there's 7 people playing and literally nobody's watching it, just get rid of it, man.
Yeah,
you can do that at home at your local tournaments.
Well, I mean, the promoter has to kind of look at the numbers and say, okay, you got 8 beginners that showed up this weekend. Let's
well, so like that actually I'd probably be okay with because they're beginners. But like I'm looking at TKO this weekekend, 30 events. It's 30 events for probably 100 people. Maybe a little more. And it sounds whatever, I don't know, it probably sounds sexist to say this, but I'm just going down the list of tournaments and I'm looking at women's amateur singles. There's 3 people. The person who finished second also finished second from last. Like I don't get why that's good for foosball. Like it's and somebody will say, well, what's the harm in that? Because it looks bad. Like it looks bad if somebody's they don't know anything about foosball. I realize this is offending somebody, so I'm okay if nobody co-signs this, but I'm just saying, like an outsider looking in, this is like.
So did someone get a buy into the finals? Someone got a buy into the finals? Is that how that worked? You have 3 people?
And it's not the first time that's happened. So I'm not just picking on women's amateur singles. This has happened in other events too. But it's just get rid of events where the only people who care about them are the people who are playing.
No, you need to streamline things, and there is a model for that internationally with the ITSF and with World Series events internationally. It's called the Swiss system. And you can still have some specialty events sprinkled in here and there, and for people who are out of events, etc. But it's time to streamline. It's time to make this back into a sport as opposed to a party. Again, just to kind of encapsulate my thinking on this whole topic tonight. We've had a year. I've had almost a year now to kind of think about. With no tournaments to go to, I'm thinking about what could be and what should be and what can be. Moving forward. And so we've had a lot of time to spend thinking about some changes we'd like to make, some changes we'd like to see made involving the National Federation, involving the tour as it currently exists, and what changes could be made to improve it. And we think maybe we have some ideas and about it, and we'll see how things go moving forward. But really, there are some things that do need to change. not everything's going to change. Not everything is bad. Not everything needs to be tossed out. But there are some ideas, and all of us have them. All of you out there listening, they have ideas and a vision of what could be in the future. And I know with Inside Foods, we have thought heavily about that moving forward, and hopefully, we can see the sport go where we really believe it can.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think you're absolutely correct, and I think we need to have more of these discussions when it comes to hot topics. We'll get to it again in the very near future. So, guys, thanks for all the input, and thanks to Dan Schurmeyer for chiming in today from the audience. Dan is also penny saver, so we just want to clarify that.
We got to bring our guy in, man.
Yeah,
we
I need
ran
a door
long. Let's
knocking.
bring our guy in.
I need a door knocking sound, so I can just like push a button. And
I've got one of those if you need it. So
just interrupt anything that's going on.
Yeah, right. So you are correct. We are going a little too far here. We want to make sure that we bring in our special guest of the week, and of course, we're very lucky because Steve Beine goes all the way back to the 70s, has played with some of the greats, is a Hall of Famer himself, and he comes with prepared with many great tales of the golden age of foosball. Please welcome to FoosTalk Live, Steve Beine. Steve, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, glad to be here. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Steve.
Cool, man. So,
man, before we roll into your life story, Steve, we just talked about a bunch of stuff. Do you have any opinions, brother, on anything that we talked about? Just like what comes to mind about our whole diatribe that you just listened to for 50 minutes?
I think Jim mentioned winning 4 matches in 2014. I think we won 6.
Eat it, Jim. Eat it, fake stat boy.
We got to look at 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2. It's a long way to get there.
Yeah.
Definitely not minimizing it. No, at all. It's just, and certainly not with you. It was more of a Horton thing than it was anything.
Well, the first round was like a 9-year-old Sully, so there's points on both sides.
If it wasn't a bye,
I know. Go ahead, Beine. Keep going, brother.
I hear what you're saying about the spectators and it's a fine line. You're face to face, about 3 feet was apart from somebody. It gets emotional. I've seen a lot of issues over the years. Table talk, I guess, has its place, but we're always looking for something almost superficial to grow players. It all boils down to marketing, building the player base, and more importantly, spectators to take it to the next level.
Right. Spectators, huge. It's got to be something people are like, I got to go. I got to see that. I got to be there. It's going to be awesome. These guys are amazing.
But Steve, don't you think that like people say stuff like, why does Rochambeau and why does like checkers and why does Scrabble? Well, why is it getting more press? Arm wrestling. It's clear why. There's something to watch. If you're like an average casual spectator, you cannot watch You cannot watch 2 people standing upright at a table. Can't see the table well unless Jim has video up to see it. There's got to be something about the engagement. And you say 3 feet. When I'm playing basketball, I'm like inches. These guys are in my face with their hands in their mouths, like inches away from me. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, you need to be quick. Get around those guys. At first,
not anymore. I'm not. It used to be that way. I'm not that tall. It was quick, but these days are gone. Anyway, Steve, keep going, man. Keep talking.
I used to ask Horton, what table we on? He goes, it doesn't matter, dude. Don't worry about it. Just follow the crowd. That's where I'm at.
All right.
And during timeout, he'll say, I told you. And I'll say, Johnny, you got it all wrong, buddy. These people aren't here to watch you play. They want to watch the high wire act with no net because they know you're going to blow a gasket at any time and they want to see it.
Yes, sir. Exactly.
Yeah.
Why do we love NASCAR? Because we're waiting for the accidents, man. That's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So more trash talking, more just flamboyance, more entourages. Is that what you're saying, Steve?
Well, I'm just like Mark said, the excitement. People want to be, if you've been to an NBA game or NFL game, you want to be front row. That's where the action is.
Sure.
And just like Horton would say, people want to be where the action is, and that's where he's at. So he drew, you can like him or love him, but guys like him, another guy, totally separate type of a player, but always a crowd, Don Swan, but they're 2 different type people.
Okay.
Swan's innocent, gets caught up in it, doesn't direct anything toward the opponent, whereas Horton will.
Yes.
You know, and I've seen it cross the line. I remember we were playing in the Ohio State Championships in the finals in this bar up in Youngstown, and there was literally a biker crowd there. Brian Tafe was running the tournament, and Horton told this biker dude to shut his hole.
Uh-oh.
And the dude leaned over the table, and he had long red hair, long red beard. His chest hair was part of his beard. He was a huge guy, bigger than me.
Oh
and he said, "I'm going to bust your head, boy." And I said, "Hey, would you mind? You're affecting me now. We're trying to play a match here." And he said, "I'm sorry, Steve, but your partner's an idiot." So I knew I had one thing going for me, is he knew who I was. So
yeah.
Nothing happened, but that's how things can happen and go south real quick.
Yes, seriously.
That's what I'm talking about, man. That's bad. Like,
yeah,
that's way over the line, and that's nothing at all like what I'm describing. But we're on the same page. I mean, you're asking to get your ass kicked in that scenario.
True that. Yeah. It's you got to know where to draw the line here. You know, is it enthusiasm for the game and having great times with the matches, or is it, really getting in somebody's grill? That's just that's a different deal, more personal. And
we had ESPN out the Worlds a few years back, and unfortunately, there were a few incidents where it did go over the line, and I don't know, Jim could talk more about that, but maybe it wasn't their element, I mean, what do you think about that, Jim? Remember when ESPN came out?
Sure. And their eyes got opened a little bit by some of what happened, but ESPN is there to cover an event, whatever it is, and it's funny, you mentioned Don Swan, and Tom and Mark, Don Swan, Johnny Horton, two guys that Steve Beine played with and reached world championship finals with. So he has great experience. For some reason, Steve, you tend to gravitate towards these kind of players, these entertaining, sort of outspoken, controversial sort of players.
More fun.
And they are balanced by you, because you're a man who plays by the rules. You're strong-willed. You have no problem telling them that they're getting out of line. What was the experience like? What were the differences and what were the similarities with Don Swan and Johnny Horton?
Neither one of them listened very well, and I'm not trying to be disparaging. Johnny, they would both listen. Let me say that I played with Horton. Let's go Swan first. Do you know, my entire time playing with Swan, and I still talk to him all the time. He still comes out to Vegas every year to see me at the tournament. He never told me one single shot to shoot. So he's kind of in his own world, like, you got a goalie back there, but you just don't know what to expect. He's a great guy, kind-hearted person, great player. Johnny, to give you a little insight, at the 2014 Worlds, before the match, this is classic Horton. We got to play Diaz and Ryan Moore. And I say, "Johnny, I want to talk to you. I got some strategy here to go over." He goes, "I don't want to hear it. I got my game. Don't even worry about it. It's Diaz, baby. We just smoke him off the table." And that's really the way he is. I mean, that's really verbatim. You just couldn't communicate. Sometimes it's hilarious. I'd call a timeout on the 2-bar, and I would look at him, kind of wipe my face off, and he would pretend like I said something and throw a fit and start going, "You're micromanaging me, man. Why are you all over me? Let me just turn me loose." He's just a nut. It was really something, he gets so into it. He wants to win so bad, but he's, there's a lot of stories there. I'll put it that way.
Cool. Very cool. It's part of our tradition here at FoosTalk Live. When someone like yourself comes on, we have to start at the beginning. I gotta take you all the way back to the beginning. Steve, tell me what was the first time you actually saw a foosball table? What kind was it, and what got you into this?
I was a speed skater at Westview Skate Land in Columbus, and they brought a foosball table in, and I started playing a little bit. Next thing you know, I liked it. Okay. I didn't have any money. I lived in government projects, and I went over to Funway Freeway game room, started playing. It was fun. I heard they were having a $50 tournament in Upper Arlington. I went there. It seemed like a lot of money to me. And, I quickly, before long, the best player around, first pro in Ohio, his name was Mike Robinson.
Okay.
He asked me to partner with him, which was a great opportunity. And You know, I partnered with Steve Parker, Schaefer Distributing, who was Tournament Soccer's #1 distributor,
Right.
sponsored us. In a blizzard of 78, February 78, we boarded a Trailways bus on a 2-day trip to Seattle for the kickoff.
Seriously.
It took us 5.5 days to get there.
Oh,
I've never been
man.
on a bus since. And, you know,
Can't
we lost
blame you.
that tournament, but won the next one. And, you know, we started placing well, and that's how it went.
So what was the first tournament you actually won? I mean, the first one, obviously not, but the second one that you won, what was that?
The first tour tournament, you mean?
Yeah.
It was Eugene, Oregon, 10,000.
Nice.
It was our second tournament. We played in the Seattle 10,000. We got on the bus and went to Eugene, Oregon, and won that one. Then we went to
Nice.
Santa Cruz. I think we got third there. Then we
Wow.
went to Salt Lake City. We got third there.
Man.
Those were all in a row. You could play every weekend.
And how old were you then?
I was 18 years old.
Yeah. Jeez. Wow. So you're up there right along people like Todd Lafredo. What was the first time you saw Todd play?
First time I saw Todd was at 77 Nationals when him and Gil won in St. Louis. They beat Smiley and Ken Allwell in the finals. That was the first time I saw Todd.
No doubt. And did you know
World Championships? Yeah.
Yeah.
The incredible, legendary event. Yeah.
Did you know you were going to become a pro?
Yeah, it was. I remember in 76, I went to Super Singles, and I was playing Rick Martin a bunch of games of singles. And next thing you know, he goes and wins it in 77.
Wow. Man. That's intense. So,
but I really looked up to those guys. I really liked Bells and Bednar. You know, I really tried to model everything I did after Mike Bells. The guy was really a pro. Simon and Lott, you know, they were a few years older, but when you're 18, you know, and you're looking at somebody 21, 22, it's a big difference, you know?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And back home, we were just kids, just like people had baseball, heroes, and football. We looked at it like that's what we wanted to be.
Yeah.
You know, Jim, do you remember Bells and Bednar, the poster where Bednar had the hat on and Bells was sitting there smiling? You know, that was up everywhere. Everywhere you went, that was everywhere. And then Jim Zellick, Marzio Bonilla poster, that was everywhere.
Yeah, you make a great point about what it was like in that particular era. Is that, and I was there. I was a very young kid as well, and we really did look at these top boozers as these you know, top master players as our heroes. You know, they were our Tiger Woods, our Kobe Bryants, our Magic Johnsons, whoever. You know, and you're a guy. There's only a handful of guys like you who started playing in the 1970s and are still basically playing today. You know, Lafredo, you know, Gummison. Boy, the list is a short one. And so you've seen the sport change and grow really from almost its infancy into where it is now. And that's got to make you feel pretty good and also give you a great understanding of the history of the sport, the players. And of course, you're part of the Hall of Fame committee as well. And you help to induct players on an annual basis. But the changes that have happened since then and the evolution of the sport, you've been a direct eyewitness to all of that.
Yeah, you know, Jim, I was thinking today, you know, with COVID, it's really hurt things, right, with foosball.
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly how I felt in 1981 when TS went down.
Wow.
And all of a sudden it was nothing. This is the same exact thing. And I talked to Lee Peppard after the tournament. And I said, you know, what happened, you know, and if you remember, I don't know if you were there or not, but what happened is I remember like it was 5 minutes ago.
Jeez.
They were begging people to sign up for pool. They had the $50,000, you know, they had tournament marked darts, tournament 8-ball, tournament air hockey, centipedes, and foosball. If you just signed up for the pool tournament, you were guaranteed $300 because they didn't have a turnout. If you just signed up for darts, you were guaranteed money. And Lee told me after the tournament, it was the most successful foosball tournament they ever ran. But unfortunately, everything else tanked. And then the time with video games, it was like COVID, you know. Next thing you know, foosball tables, they were everywhere, everywhere. And then they're nowhere.
Yeah.
And then operators were putting in those video games, and it started dissipating fast. You know, they were just begging for places to play. And it reminds me of now, today. This is how it felt. Couldn't go to tournaments. Dynamo picked it up. Johnny Lott picked it up, I should say, and you know, developed several tables, and it was a struggle, you know. But go ahead.
No, I got something for you, man. Well, I'll have a quick comment on that, and then I got some stuff here from Johnny. So, the death of the arcade, man. I don't mind saying it. Hopefully, the death of the arcade and the evolution or the ascension of the mobile home remote gaming PCs. Hopefully, that has a revival in the future for foosball if someone could capitalize it.
Yeah,
putting tables back in bars, and there almost seems to be a point now where you get that group of socialization that might be turning away from video games, and so a social game like foosball, maybe it has an opportunity here, and you'll be around to see it. I hope there's a turnaround that you can participate in, Steve. Not that you're 90 years old or anything. I'm just saying, hey, man, might be some opportunity here to see foosball. Anyway, so I made the mistake, or I made the good judgment of telling Johnny you're going to be on the show, and he's spammed me with texts for an hour. All right, so I'm going to try to narrow some of this down. And okay, let's just start here. Tell Beine I'm shooting longs from the 3 and sliders from the 2, just like he told me to do. Tell Beine I'm trying to become better spiritually and emotionally today than the day before, just like he told me to do. Tell Beine to tell our fans about the milk and bread story, corn in my braces, and the Waffle House.
Say what?
What's that all about, dude?
Yeah, well, first of all, Horton begged me to sign a non-disclosure agreement before I was going on the show. Now here he is blowing me up with questions. He's trying to dictate and control the message.
Yes.
Let me answer for you and anybody that's listening a little background about me and Johnny, and maybe it'll explain from my point of view. Because if you had to pick 2 people in a tournament room, Jim, you would never picture me and Horton playing together. We're just different.
That's why something's wrong with you, dude. You pick these guys, but go ahead. Let's keep talking.
No, I'm a freak magnet. That's what
he's
they
good
call
for
me.
them, man. No, he's good for them.
Yes, dude.
Yeah, it's like Mad Max. I'm like some ruler of the wasteland or something.
I love it.
Anyway, Horton, we go way back, and so my relationship with Johnny, imagine you have, which you do, 2 kids.
Yeah.
And one of your daughters, Mark, gets all A's, perfect. They're on autopilot. Everything they do is great. The other one has 2 left feet, can't seem to stay out of trouble, can't seem to do anything right. But you love them both the same. And you might even have a little bit more affection towards the one that's having a harder time because you want them to do well and you want to help. And that's just the way I am. I've spent my whole life, basically 35 years, trying to, keep bad things happening from good people. And so I do, it is kind of strange when you think about it, but Johnny, when we were young, he's lived with me a few times. Most people don't know that. So one night, it's like, Friday night, 3 a.m., we're going to go get some milk and bread because we got everything but the milk and bread. And this is in 1978. So we go over to the store, we walk over there, bad part of the neighborhood, and we spend $50, get back, and we forgot the milk and bread. So,
like my wife, when she goes to the market.
Yeah, it seems like my volume's down a little bit. Like it's hard to.
Can you hear us?
Hear, but I'm sorry,
Steve. Can you hear us?
I'm not sure if the speakerphone's on now, but anyway, did I make sense what I was talking about? The 2 kids, one's perfect, one has problems, but you love them the same,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. What's this about corn in my braces and the Waffle House?
We were at the Waffle House. Oh, he went there, huh? We were at Kentucky Fried chicken, and he had braces. He wore braces for like 17 years because he never had them taken off.
Yeah.
And, you know, they actually did more damage than they did good. And I kept telling him, you got to get them things off, you know. So we go to KFC, and I'm like, dude, you got corn all up in your teeth. He goes, I'm saving that for later. So he wouldn't rub it out. Everywhere we went later, he would smile at people and say, look what I got. I'm going to a picnic later, and I'm the only one invited.
He's a mess, dude.
He's you know, I got to tie half my brain behind my back just to deal with the guy, man. So the Waffle House.
Yeah, go
What's
ahead.
that?
The
Waffle House. This is, I mean, you know, this is Horton, okay? So we're at the Waffle. I want to leave some names out of this because but we're at the Waffle House at Worlds in Dallas, Texas. When was this? 79 or 80. We go to the Waffle House. You know, it's like Friday, Saturday night, and we're in this Waffle House, and these good old boys are in there, man. They're playing, you know, there's a tear in my beer over you and all that kind of stuff, you know. So Horton, he was a weirdo. When he put ketchup on everything, he's one of them people that would lick his plate when he was done. So he's all of a sudden he gets up there and plays Brick House on the jukebox.
Oh, Jesus.
And all these, you know, these dudes with the 20-gallon hats are in there because it's 3 a.m. on a Friday or Saturday night. And Horton's dancing around in Brick House, and he's licking his plate. So when we go outside, I mean, you got to remember, man, we're just like 19 years old, 18, 19 years old. We go outside, you know, there's some other players with us. And we go outside, and these boys come out, and they go, hey, you guys, we've had enough of you. And they crank off around in the air.
Whoa.
And me and Horton's like, we started you know, we're like flexing. We're out of there, man. We're flexing. We're flying 100 miles an hour. He's like, slow down, Bonnie. I can't keep up with you. I'm like, let's go, man. So we go up. We're in the bushes looking, watching them. And a couple other guys stand there and, you know, get reamed out by them and all that. And next thing you know, we go back to the hotel and see them. You know, they're all upset. The other players, but that's classic Horton. You know, you can't go into Waffle House at 3 a.m. Right next to the honky tonk bar playing Brick House, you know, singing and everything, you know, licking your plate.
Licking your plate is just the oddest addition. What about this? What about when Murray called the ref a sick man? Hey, what's that? When did Murray call the ref a sick man? Do you know what that is?
That was that was the 95. That was Dave Council reffing. That was a 95 U.S. Open in Cleveland, which Jim would probably remember. That was, according to Currington, the largest non-world championship event they ever had. It was a huge tournament.
I was there. I was at that tournament too. I was there.
So what stands out about that tournament? First of all, Horton, we won that tournament, but he had 7 technicals called on him throughout the course of the tournament.
Whoa.
And so we go to play, Murray and Tommy in the finals. And they won the winners. And if you remember, Jim, Tommy had a shot. They had a 4-3. I blocked it, scored it. Tommy got it again. I blocked it, scored it. Well, now we're playing second match, and Murray's, you know how he was out of his mind. He was so upset, you know. And so what happened was Council, man, he was calling stuff strict. And I guarantee you this is what Tommy did. It was like, you know, 2-2. We'd had everything called against us the whole tournament. All of a sudden, Tommy does nothing. He's got the ball in the 5. He calls timeout. So he walks up to the table. He's just like, you know how you run the rod back and forth to try to see if you need any, you know, lube silicone on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I walk up table and Council goes, hold it. I got to call you for practicing. And we're like, and he picks it up off and Tommy's like, what? And Horton starts laughing. I go, shut up, dude. This is the only call we've had go for us all weekend. You're going to blow it.
Yeah.
I go, we darn near got Council in our back pocket. Let's just go with it, you know? So we start playing again. And sure enough, Council makes a call. And, you know, I can see smoke coming out of Murray's ears. And Murray looks at him and goes, you're a sick man. And Council goes, that's a technical. And Horton, and then Murray goes, I was talking to myself.
So you got Tommy Atkinson, you got Steve Murray, you got Johnny Horton on the table, and council's calling it tight. I wonder why. And there was you.
Yeah.
You know, you played so many big matches with Johnny Horton and controversial matches as well. You know, and as you mentioned earlier, you and Johnny were so very different personalities. You know, you saw a lot go down when it came to Horton. I mean, you saw these kinds of things on the table. You saw him at the Waffle House as well. How is it that, I mean, you must have embraced this. You must have enjoyed it. You must have just been, it must have somehow, you know, been a good thing for you. And obviously you're good for those kind of players as well. You've given them balance, etc. But I guess the question is, and I'm searching for it here, but why play with these kinds of players?
Right.
Was there a reason?
I'm gonna give you the
this?
answer for that. Okay,
Yeah.
you want the answer that nobody. There's only, I don't even know if anybody knows this. Well, I know there's 3 people that know it, maybe 4. So I was at the mounted unit at the time. I was on horseback, what happened is Johnny showed up at the '98 Worlds at that convention center.
Yeah, Fort Worth.
And remember, all he was doing, you know, he was just trying to be a part of it, you know. And then Currington told him to get out.
Yeah.
So I went to Currington. I said, you know, man, Dave, that's pretty hard. The guy came up here, he's not doing anything, and he was suspended at the time.
He was, yes.
And so I said, Dave, that's pretty hard, man. I mean, if you're going to give the guy an opportunity, what better way to give him an opportunity when he's not playing but he's here?
Yeah.
So, you know, Dave, me and Dave had some words before, but I love that guy. We appreciate each other, you know. So about an hour later, Dave calls me up the stage. He goes, okay, I'm going to let him in, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want any problems. Okay. And I said, okay. So I called Johnny. He was happy. Okay. Well, Johnny, at some point, I remember I was at the mounted unit. I was on horseback. Currington called me, and we were talking about something unrelated, a table. When I would order a table, Dave would like personally check it and make sure it was A1, send it to me. I said, you know, Dave, this guy, he's, you know, I know he's been suspended a couple of times. He's in the prime of his career. The game really needs this guy. Like it or not, Dave, something's missing. And this is what happened. This is going to tell you why I play with Horton. Doesn't mean we weren't friends and everything, but Currington said, all right, here's the deal. I'm going to let him play. If that's what you want, I'm going to let him play. But only if you play with him. If you don't play with him, he's not playing. Oh. So if you want him to play so bad, you play with him. Yeah, if you remember, I was playing forward at the time. I was winning a lot. You know, I mean, I was up there, you know, and that's what happened. That's what happened at that time. So I started playing with him.
Whoa.
And, you know, then he kind of slid off there a couple of times. But how that started was Currington let him back in, but only if I played with him. Then he had a mix up in, like the next year it was in Vegas, and Jeep was a spectator. Horton, you know, threw his water on Jeep, and I remember I wasn't there. I walked in the tournament room, and I just seen Dave and Link or whoever it was looking at me, and they said, "Steve, would you come up stage?" And they said, "Okay." Johnny did it, you know. Where were you? And I said, I was, you know, I don't know, I was eating or something. And they said, okay. They said, okay. And he was like sitting at the time, Jim. He was in the winners, I think, in singles and singles and mixed, or at least mixed. He was sitting 5th. And he goes, okay, he's out. He's forfeited out of everything. I'm not going to forfeit him in doubles. You can play, but you know, friendship or not, this is it. He screws up, I got to forfeit you guys. And when you put a guy like Johnny under that kind of, you know, it's almost like neutering the boy. You know, you put a bit in a horse's mouth for a reason to control him, but sometimes he doesn't operate well under that circumstance, you know. And you know, he's had some problems, you know. I mean, Johnny's been, you know, even from childhood, things, you know, people don't know. He just went through some tough times, and you know, he's been beat up a lot. You know, he's been to jail, I don't know, 40 some times, you know.
Jeez.
And I mean, we've had long when he was in rehab, you know, it was a $2,000 bill I paid for, you know. You ever try to call one of those places and you know how it works, you know, or it's like calling a jail, they get you. But so there was like hundreds of hours, of counseling, you could say, things we went through, but man, that guy, you guys would all agree I've played with everybody. I played with Spear, Gummison, Adrian, Yor, I play with Furry and the Worlds. I play with
Todd.
Todd,
Yeah.
Todd, but when that guy turns it on,
yeah,
I mean, that guy
unreal.
turns it on. It's a show,
Yeah.
And a lot of
Fireworks,
that's
man.
because when he was young, he was on house arrest. That's all he could do.
yeah.
And
Really?
everybody went over there. That's how them Florida boys got good. In fact, there's guys like Johnny Banks you never hear about anymore. He beat Wiswell in the finals and singles in Birmingham. Great player. Starcheski, man, what a great player that guy was. A fighter,
Mm-hmm.
Jim Lanieri, Dwayne Pratt. But Horton, man, that guy, he's why it's so ruthless in Florida this day,
Yeah, that's a good point.
Interesting. A
Those
dynasty.
special talents, man, they transcend the game through the eras. That's why Johnny and Spear win open singles titles in the 90s, man, because they're just bigger than the game. The brains is the skill level. I wanted to ask, he has one more thing for you, dude. The Paul Reynolds garden glove story. Do you know that story?
Yeah, it was at Good Time Charlie's in Indianapolis. There was a tournament there, and we go there, and of course, Horton can't go 5 minutes without. The dude's like a jack in a box that never goes back in the box. You just can't. you just can't get rid of the guy, man. I mean,
Yeah.
Beine. I mean, he was like, like when you're in, middle school or high school, and you got a girlfriend, and neither one of you got to blow the phone up. He's always blowing my phone up, but he runs outside and get me. You got to come in here. I've seen it all now, and we go in there, and them garden gloves you got, like they come up your forearm, like they're rubbery. And there's Reynolds in there playing singles. He's got a garden glove on because I don't know what the deal was. Didn't have a foosball glove or something. So he always reminds me of that, that garden glove.
He was yapping at me. And he said something to Paul Reynolds about something like you're gonna go after I beat you. You're gonna do some my gardening work, Paul.
Yeah.
Pull some weed.
Yeah.
And then he was like, and he said Paul would have won the match unless he focused on that glove, because he had talked so much smack about his glove and doing gardening in his yard that he had to win the match. So he beat Paul Reynolds after staring at that glove. That's hilarious.
So funny. So funny.
You made a point earlier, Steve, about how what table are we on, Johnny? Johnny says just follow the crowd.
Love it.
If there was a tournament for the ages, and you had Tony Spredeman playing over here, you had Frederick Collignon playing over here, you had Tommy Abgeson over there, you had Wiz and Furry over there on table number 1. The biggest crowd ever would still be over there on table 14 watching you and Johnny Horton against whoever. It wouldn't even matter.
Yep.
That's how big of a draw that Johnny Horton is. He was suspended 4 or 5 times, at least 3 by Currington alone within about a 5-year span, mid to late 90s. And then he came back, of course, for 2001, won the World Singles Championship, etc. But never has there been, say what you will about Johnny and his habits off the table and his habits on the table, but there has never been a more compelling figure, a more entertaining player in the minds of the foosball public than Johnny Horton.
You know what,
That's
man?
True.
Oh, go ahead, Steve. This is your show.
We've all seen. It's kind of like you got a great boxer, but then you got Mike Tyson. There's this persona.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put your finger on it, but some people, they just don't have it. Johnny's not only got it, he's got all that, I mean,
that's so.
And once he engages you verbally, you might as well just, like we'd always say, pack your bags. We're going to take him on a guilt trip, Johnny. He gets you feeling bad about yourself. You didn't even do anything wrong, in the match, But if you and there's certain players that are practice players, and there's certain people that are tournament players.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are money players, and he's a money player too.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
He's I mean, he has a way of putting his pressure. We've talked about this for hundreds of hours. It's just that he has a different philosophy than me. I play for a different reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he would take his stress and put it on the other person. And he's, now I've played a long time and I've played a lot of people. There's a lot of good talkers in the game, and maybe I shouldn't point them out, but nobody's to his level. They can, you could think they are, but they're not. I mean, this guy wants people, and I know Jim and Mark, you guys have seen it over and over. I mean, people might say Tommy, but do people really want to punch Tommy in the mouth? Maybe some did, but Johnny, man, he's ruthless,
Yeah.
More personal.
There's something to this point. I think the closest for me would have probably been someone like Murray, who dispersed his stress. And the younger back you go, the more furious Murray was. He's like totally cooled off in his later stages. But Murray was never like how incendiary and even personal Johnny can get. But I want to go back to this other point you make, because I think it's a great point. The greatest NFL player of all time was probably Jerry Rice in terms of like his scoring is off the charts. But the guy couldn't get a freaking local sponsorship. He couldn't get a local promotion for anything and he did it right. He did it his way. He was quiet. He never celebrated. He handed the ball off like he'd been there. That was his philosophy. And it was unfortunate. There's a place for that guy, though. There's a place for that guy, the quiet demeanor who just wins and does it with poise and composure. There's a place for that. And I think if we're going to go earlier back in the eras of foosball, Tom Spear was that guy, right? Tom Spear was the stoic, non-emoting champion
machine
of that. But the guys who do all that with the human drama, and the greatest example right now, the modern example, is Conor McGregor. If you don't know who this guy is, he is he's the Johnny Horton of MMA, and we've had these guys every era. Mike Tyson's another great example. But the spectator can be drawn to the talent they don't have. They could be drawn to the overachievement or success or precision that they don't have. But it's all amplified when they're drawn to the drama, the human element. And Johnny had that thing where like 80% of people might really enjoy the antics and 20% of people might hate it. But everybody watched. He got all 100% watching, and because he delivered all of it.
He had the charisma, whatever charisma is, right? We really can't even quantify exactly what it is. It's just this compelling attraction that we have. For watching players like him or fighters like Tyson or McGregor. That's a great point.
You need both personalities, because if everybody in the room's Horton, then it doesn't even matter.
It's different.
You gotta have Bjorn Borg playing McEnroe.
Yes.
You gotta have Yvonne Lendl playing Connors.
Right.
And you gotta have Spear playing Horton. And then people choose their sides, which side am I on? Without that, then it's pandemonium, but you gotta have a fringe on both sides. Most players will fall in the middle.
It's the black hat versus the white hat, right? It's good versus evil. You got to have a bad guy and a good guy.
Yeah.
And the WWE, they've done this for years. They have these guys, these championship wrestlers, as we were talking to Chris Doobie last week. Somebody plays the bad guy, somebody plays the good guy, and those roles switch sometimes. But there's always got to be that. You got to have that conflict for people to really check it out.
Boy, I had some fun times with Doobie on the table. That guy, here's another guy that would use his size against you, especially when he's playing me. I remember a match. That guy would, here's what Doobie would do. First of all, about 1983, we were going this big discotheque in Texas. It was called Spinnakers or something like that. And I snuck him in. He got in my trench coat, and I walked in with him. It's a true story, man.
That's awesome.
So I'm playing Doobie in the match in the pitch. There's a big crowd, it's on Tornado, and he keeps calling himself midget because that's what Doobie does. He calls himself midget. Okay, but he does it to come on, midget. And then he'll, how certain people hand you the ball, they don't hand it to you, they like slam it in your hand.
Yeah.
So what happened was, And I used to let Doobie punch me as hard as he wanted in the stomach because he can't get no, he can't
Leverage.
he can't get that wind up,
But to reach up pretty high there too.
Yeah. But I'm playing him in the pits, and next thing you know, I say, "Come on, midget!" And I slam him the ball, and he goes, "Oh, a guy called me a midget." So now he tries to turn it all around on me. He's been calling himself midget the whole time. And then finally, I back up from the table and I said, "You ready to play?" And he goes, "I'm not done yet. You call me a midget." And I said, "Well, I'm done. I've had it up to here with you." And I put my hand across my knees, like I've had it up to here with you, Doobie. And then. Yeah, what a guy, man! But
this is the formula. This is what we need. We need this kind of circus. It's so much fun. And just to hear about the stories, man, it's endless. It's fantastic.
I think lately about writing stuff down because I remember it well, and I talked to a lot of different people. And some people, I know you guys. I don't know if you see this as much as I do or pay attention to it, but some people try to rewrite history. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You can't be the bad guy, make everybody mad. You're always controversy, and then try to turn it around years later, like you're
a hero.
You could try. I mean,
you could try, but we know,
it's on video in a lot of cases.
People, but But so, man, go ahead.
So, Steve, from your perspective, in your career, especially at those days, who was your direct rival? Who did you want to pound the most?
Too nice of a guy.
Too nice. Didn't have a rival.
Johnny. Johnny.
I mean, Jim probably would remember this. The reason Johnny wanted to play with me is because him and Diaz kept running to me and Swan and losing, like 3 majors in a row. And so that's kind of like the way, that started like early on. Johnny kept wanting to play, and Johnny was always asking me, hey, let's talk strategy. What, Beine, what's the key? Come on, man. And I remember telling him one time, and it never went away, because he will remember things. Like, I'm gonna tell you a story. You ask him a question for me. You remember that foosball video? The foosball movie he was in.
Yeah.
90%.
The greatest.
90% of the one-liners he used in there, they were mine. So he tells me, yeah, they were yours, but I made them famous, baby. So I used to tell him, I meant it in all in fun, but he would use them derogatory. He stole my team names on TS. My team name was My Turn to Burn. Next thing I know, he signs up and I hear, My Turn to Burn, and he stole my name.
I love it.
Well, what was I going to tell you about?
So he is your rival then. He's your partner and your rival all at the same time.
He was then, me and Todd went at it a lot, but I used to tell him,
Go ahead.
Bacon, yeah. I used to say that, foosball, when you play at this level, it's all about heat and pressure, heat and pressure. Those are the two things. I remember when I was a kid, Jack Nicklaus, everybody knows Jack Nicklaus.
Oh, yeah.
I never forget this interview. They said, Jack, how did you get to be, you're so better than everybody. How? And he goes, look, there's 1,000 Jack Nicklauses all across the world. I've met them. I've seen them play. I played with them until we play for $1. And then I'm Jack Nicklaus,
That's great.
And Johnny started understanding that at a young age, and so, he's very, usually guys that get good, they're pretty smart in certain ways, you know what I mean? Like,
sure,
not gonna be a good player and be a dummy. You were talking about Terry Moore earlier, and I'll answer that question for you. Terry shot a pull shot.
Pretty
before
good.
He shot a rollover. It was okay, but but he wasn't going to be winning any majors with that pull shot. I mean, but he told me, we played against each other a lot, and what the shot did for him is it allowed him to focus on his 5-bar a lot, because one night Terry drove to Columbus from Houston, and there's a bunch of players. We're at Bob Hamilton's house. I mean, like, Diaz, Swan, me. There's a lot. There's probably 12 masters there.
Jeez.
And Terry comes in. We're playing for money. And I said, Terry, how in the world are you cranking that shot like that? It's like you've been because the guy's been up for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And he goes, that shot's automatic. I don't have to do anything. There's no muscle in it. It's just all, it's all, Rod does the work. And, yeah, it really changed the game, a lot. But
how did you feel when you first noticed this shot coming into play, and there was this contemplation of making it illegal? But how did you feel about it personally?
Well, I had a big match in '92. I was playing, and we were playing the finals. It was me and Gummison playing Terry and Eddie Gartman.
Gartman, yeah.
The next thing I know, Terry's shooting this shot. And the ref's there, and I'm like, how's that legal? And I was going to make a point. And because the rule at the time, I think it was 18-4, it said before the attempt of a shot or pass, both hands must grasp the handles for a full second. And Terry goes, my hand is, I'm grasping it with my wrist. And he got a can of Coke on the floor underneath the table.
Yeah, grasp that with your wrist.
And I picked it up and I said, here, grasp this with your wrist. And he looked at me like, oh, you got me now.
Yeah.
But it was something that was never, it's like, doesn't really matter what I say now about it now. It's part of the game.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really, I think about 5 or 6 years ago, I was in Vegas at the Hall of Fame, and I made it a point, first round, rookie doubles. I mean, match after match. Every single match, but one was a rollover.
Yeah,
really.
And one guy was shooting a pull shot, but it really limited, and it really limited in that way. Todd said something to me one time. I think it sounds maybe kind of. I don't want to make it sound like. What's the word I'm looking? Well, I'll just say it. Todd, we're sitting in the pits one time. We're watching a match. And this is probably about 10 years ago, 8 years ago. And Todd says, Steve, imagine if the rollover was never legal. Do you realize what me and you, our history, what we've been in foosball? Like, who would touch our shots?
Sure.
But that, and I never forgot when he said that, like, imagine if that shot was never legal. And everybody had to deal with me and your shot.
Yeah.
Do you realize how many titles we would have, like that?
Todd saying that. It's hysterical.
Yeah, it is.
Speaking of Todd, man, I got really, really smashed one Vegas tournament. You were in the finals with Todd in senior doubles playing against Lewis and Mike Splain. And I was so drunk.
Do you actually remember
yelling over the soundproof wall, and you were being yourself. And Todd was ignoring me. Lewis was making the mistake of responding to me. What is your memory of that? Was that really? I mean, I really blacked out later that night. So, what do you remember that, Beine?
Yeah, I do. I remember. I'll tell you what I remember. It was like foghorn leghorn guys out there, with a bullhorn or something. I said, what in the world? I said, Todd's like, oh, I think that guy needs to keep it down. I said, let him go. He's putting all the pressure on Lou.
Yeah, Lewis fell apart. Yeah. You guys smashed him.
He was putting a little pressure on me too.
Good,
I gotta tell you.
You remember Lou's getting the ball pretty good,
yes.
And he was shooting a pull shot.
Yeah.
And I'm like trying to use it, to my advantage. Like I'm being a nice guy, but I'm loving it, because he's wanting to go long because he's wanting to, and I know that. So he ain't going to do it. I remember that.
You're
That's
welcome.
Hilarious,
You're
man.
welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome. I love that guy, man.
Yeah. The memories are amazing. And that's the one thing we have found. We've had, so many great master players on with us on FoosTalk Live. And it's the memories of those days. It's like it was yesterday in many cases, going even back to the 70s, 80s, or whatever. I want to switch gears with you a little bit, though, because I know, Steve, you are involved on an annual basis with the United States Table Soccer Hall of Fame. And a lot of people out there don't really know how all of that works. How do we decide? And I'm on that board as well, along with Steve Murray and others. But how does that process work? And of course, you're a Hall of Famer. There are nominees, and there's an election each year. Talk a little bit about the process of how we determine who goes into the United States Hall of Fame.
So there's a lot of confusion there, but it's really, once I explain it to people, they're like, oh, okay, that's how. And man, I'll tell you what, I've taken some phone calls before over some
Preaching to the
people
choir on
inducted.
that,
People are
but
like, man, well, how did this happen? You know, like I'm thinking if it wasn't me, they want to cuss me out, but you know, they're trying to choose their words wisely most times. But so here's the deal. You know, the history is in '86 at the reunion tournament. I remember I was there. Johnny Lott, you know, instituted the Hall of Fame, and I believe there were 12 people inducted. And I remember the last one to speak was Billy Sumption. I had to go get Johnny and say, Johnny, please, man, Billy's still on the microphone. He goes, what? And he goes, right, because the guy had been up there for like an hour and 47 minutes. I timed it, you know? And so, but from there, then, you know, it was, what do you say, dormant for a while. And then Jim picked it up. And then what happened was there was a transition. And Kelly Stites bought Tornado, Dynamo, Valley. And then they, as I recollect, Jim, I could be wrong, but I think it was maybe 2008, 2009. They had the brothers in there running a tournament. Refresh me.
Elliott's, yeah.
Elliott's, okay. Man, Tornado had to lose a lot of money right there. Things just weren't going right, and which I believe is what led them to go to Mary, you know, because she had been doing this for a while. So the Mary took it over, and then they basically said, here, Mary, you do the Hall of Fame. And
well, actually, they never did. But yes, she did take the Hall of Fame, yes.
I remember, you know, talking with you in Vegas that first year and thinking like, you know, we got to get this work. You know, we got to get you videoing. We got to get this back on track. I don't know if you remember that or not, but I did talk to Mary. And so fast forward to now, Kathy Brainerd, and talking a lot and other people, she developed some guidelines. Anybody can go to IFP Foosball, the webpage. There are years of brochures and the information on there on the induction process. You know, basically there's like 4 categories. You know, people can be nominated as a player, as a contributor, as a female, as a player, you know, maybe a player at large. There are anybody in the U.S., any U.S. player can nominate 1 player per year. So what we ask you to do is, let's say Mark thinks that Bob Gibson should be, he wants to, well, then we, you know, we're saying, okay, well, you provide some documentation, you know, get the ball rolling why you think that. And it all boils down to there's certain criteria. And there's really 4 main criteria. And one is that there's the player has a world title. And out of these 4 criteria, you have to meet at least 2. So like the first criteria would be you have a world championship title in an open category of play, meaning a world championship in open doubles, open singles, women's doubles, women's singles, mixed doubles. And I think Kathy later added senior doubles because of all the masters playing in it by that time. And I think that was right about the time that when Jeep got in, that's how that happened. So, but I don't think that was ever put in writing. Then, or you would have to meet the second criteria would be you have to win multiple regional, national titles over a 5-year period. So they want to show some consistency that you've been, and you need to maintain the highest ranking. So that would mean under Tornado, if you didn't win the world title, then, but you were a master for 5 years and you won multiple national or regional titles over that 5-year period, which historically we've used as a $10,000 minimum tournament, unless it was like early Dynamo, Tornado, where there were big tournaments, but the money wasn't as much right then. And then the other thing would be, I think I named 3. The fourth one would be like you make a significant contribution to the game. You know, maybe you develop the rollover.
Oh.
Or maybe you have a new shot, a new defense, new pass that dramatically changes the professional style of play. So it's basically those 4 criteria, and it's in writing. It's on IFP. I think you go to IFP Foosball, and there's a Hall of Fame tab, and you can look at like the last 10 or 11 years, all the brochures, and in the brochure is this criteria. So I'll tell you personally, and I'm about ready to send an email out to everybody, but since Jim's listening right now, I have reached out, and I would say over the last year, 8 more players. And I said, look, I need, here's what we're trying to do is we have a committee. It's me, Steve Murray, Dave Gummonson, Jim Stevens. Mary does not vote on that, but she's the sponsor of it, so to speak. She does provide jackets, entries, a plaque, a dinner, things of that nature. And I want to point out before I forget that going in this year for last year will be Christina Fuchs, Charles McIntosh, and Tom York. But so what we do is, let's say, and I've asked people, I can think of about 8, but I don't get anything back, because who knows their history better than they do. And, it's work to go through and verify, double check that these people, I'll give you an example. It's hard to name a player, but I think we currently have probably, and people think, you nominate somebody this year, they might go in. I don't know, Jim, what do you think? There's probably still on the ballot, would you say 20 to 25 players, Jim?
On the ballot itself, yeah. I mean, whether or not they're ever going to get in or not is another matter, but still
Right.
a pretty good sized number of players. And then, of course, as Steve said, that also includes contributors and people like that. So yeah, there's still a fair amount on the ballot for sure.
And the reason I say that, Jim, is so that people wouldn't think like, well, I'm going to nominate, like I said, Bob Gibson, and maybe he'll go in this year. Well, he might, but there's still players on there. I can think of players that have multiple
Gus Trevino,
titles.
Gus Trevino, Scotty Weidman. There's a list, man. Guys.
Yeah. Jim, what's the female? Darn it. She's got 7 world titles. Gina.
Joy Stewart?
Joy Stewart.
No. I did reach out to Joy Stewart about it, and I asked her to, I wanted to get her, present her bio to the committee for consideration to place on the ballot. I just haven't heard back yet. Sometimes you have to, life happens. You got to. No, a female, Jim.
With 7 world championships.
She's got 7, but she still hasn't been inducted yet. And it is just like, who do you take out? Everybody's got their. And here's another thing I want to say is, in the when you look at the brochure, if you go to IFP Foosball, they'll say something like, I don't know why so and so is not in there. I don't know why. Well, these Hall of Famers, they're the ones that vote. They know, they're not dummies. They know who's who, but everybody's got one vote, and that's the way it goes. And that's the way.
Yeah.
Certain people will lobby. I don't do it because my position, I don't think it's right for me to lobby when I'm counting up votes. So I don't do that. I don't petition for somebody.
Yeah, like you say, it is basically, if you're a Hall of Famer, you get a vote. That's the way it's been for the last 10 years. And if you're a player from the 70s and maybe doesn't have a lot of information about what's going on presently or in the last 20 years, Johnny Lott will just tell you who to vote for. But anyway,
do you as a
am I leaving anything out, Jim? Am I explaining it right? Does it sound?
No, I think so. I mean, there is a process, that must be gone. There's a nomination process, and of course the voting process with all the players. And I think over the last few years, we've started to really iron out some of the weaknesses in the system and take care of those to where now I think that things have improved. Now, you mentioned that there will be no new Hall of Famers this year because of the COVID situation. It's going to be Christina Fuchs and Charles McIntosh and Tom Yor, who will hopefully be inducted in April at the Hall of Fame Classic in Las Vegas if it takes place. We hope it does, and if it does, we'll be there. And so this year, because we couldn't honor them, although we did to some degree at Inside Foos TV this past year, but to really have them stand up in front of a crowd, acknowledge the induction and be there with all their friends and their competitors and everyone else. We're really looking forward to those three, hopefully this year in Las Vegas, Stephen. I know you'll be there too to induct them as well.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday, Jim, or maybe it was the day before. I reached out to all of them. And, here's the thing is, I hate to see a year go by where we don't induct someone. But I've talked to Mary, repeatedly. And here's the thing. She really wasn't sure she could even have the tournament. Could you imagine if we have inductees for 2020 and then for 2021 and we don't induct any of them? Now we're looking at 2022 and we've got maybe 6 people that we just can't do that. And it takes away, I don't know what your feelings are. You're free to speak up. But I don't think it's kind of fair to Christina, Charles, and Tom that they never got really recognized. We did get them their jackets. They didn't get their plaque. I'm working right now on updating their, at least to do an online program, brochure, I guess program. And, but I don't know what your guys' feelings are on that, but it's really kind of like, I even asked Mary just before Kentucky State, or is this good? I don't want to get a hold of these people and then send an email out to the Hall of Famers. And here's what we're doing, because you got to give people enough notice, obviously, for work and travel and all that. But it's a tough time, I don't know what it is about me. At my age, I still get players that think I'm, Mr. Beine, and some think I'm their brother, friend. It's a mixture. I stay in touch. People contact me. And I think it's maybe because maybe me being in Ohio, Mary's in Kentucky, our friendship over the years, or, like they're having Kentucky right now. And the mask thing is very, what's the word?
Controversial?
Not adversarial. Yeah, controversial. I mean, you got people that are, so now, I'm getting texts or calls, what are you going to do about, like me? I don't run a tour. What are you going to do about, there's people down there, they're not wearing a mask. And if they do, it's not over their nose. Or if they, it's a subject, I don't have the answer for it. But I think in Vegas, what Mary's told me is, you're going to have to wear that mask, because out there, it's not going to be like the hotel in Kentucky. But what are your guys' thoughts on that? About I see some, and she also reduced it, by the way. It's only a 30 grander this year because she does not have any idea what the turnout will be. But go ahead.
I got 2 thoughts. First thing is from a business owner perspective, one of the things you manage your liability and risk, whatever your political ideology is. If you're mandated, especially like if you have people on camera, they tell you got to wear a mask. Whatever your political affiliation is, it doesn't matter if you're going to get sued or you're exposed because people are on video not wearing their mask when you promised they would. Now anyone, you just gotta, it's a sad reality that if someone gets COVID and other people get it, as a business owner, you're exposed, and there's no amount of insurance that's going to cover you. That's the first thing. But to the other point you made, and I'm not sure quite what you were asking, but if I got into the Hall of Fame, I'm speaking for anybody, and I respect you. If somebody gets in the Hall of Fame, they should get their time, right? Their time gets memorialized to speak, to thank the people they want to thank, their family, their friends, their community. They deserve that time. That time is memorialized. It's archived. It's remembered. One day their grandkids may see it. It's a big moment for people that worked really, really hard. So if the question is, I don't know if this is part of your question at all, but I just hope you guys figure out how people get their moment on the stage to ingratiate themselves to their community, their family, their friends in an appropriate way, like everyone else got to. So.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Cheers.
And we tried to do that a little bit this past year through the use of video, but obviously, ideally, you want them in front of their friends, in front of a crowd, in a major tournament situation, in a ceremony type of environment. Talking about the Hall of Fame Classic and about, one thing we can count on is that Las Vegas is going to do it the right way. They're going to be careful. You're going to have to wear a mask there, I would assume, even in April, even as things come. But the one thing you can kind of count on is that if it's going to happen, Las Vegas is going to make the call. And they're going to make a smart call because they have to. As Mark mentioned, the liability involved with a business. In this case, the business being the hotel, in the environment the tournament is held in. And so, we will see. And again, so much of this past year has been about one day at a time, making decisions on a daily basis. We really don't know. We've got to plan for things, knowing that maybe they're not going to happen yet. We still have to make the plans because in order to pull off something like a Las Vegas tournament, you've got to plan.
Yeah.
You've got to get all your ducks in a row. And so you still have to until the answer is no. But, hopefully, we are able to have this tournament in April. Hopefully Mary's able to run this event. Hopefully we are able to personally induct these 3 individuals, deservingly so, into the Hall of Fame. But again, who knows, right? That's the environment we're in. We can hope, and we will see what happens.
Let's hope that in a year's time, Jim, guys, that this is completely moot, that we no longer have to worry about any of this, and we'll move forward and do the things we need to do. Yeah. Steve, before we only have a few minutes left here, but first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time. Outside of Foosball, I understand that you worked in law enforcement. Is that correct?
Yes.
And,
I retired a couple years ago.
Oh, no kidding. And how long did you do that for?
33 years.
33 years. Wow. Well, thank you so much for your service.
Truly. And your daughter and her husband now, I understand, are on the streets protecting and serving. So eternally grateful.
Yeah.
Really, really love that, man. Appreciate all of that from you and your family.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on that. I'm on that mailbox money now.
do you miss your former?
That you mentioned Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus, also out of Columbus, Ohio. So Steve Beine, kind of the Jack Nicklaus of foosball, no doubt about it. He's so right about the heat and the intensity and the pressure. And that's what it's all about. It doesn't necessarily. It's not the most talented guy. It's the guy or gal who can handle those situations. The best. And you made a great analogy with Jack Nicklaus, because Jack could hit the ball a long ways. He was a good putter, good with a short game, but it was his bulldog mentality, his ability to perform under pressure that paid off so many times for him and for you as well, Steve. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, terrific.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. It's been great. I really appreciate talking with you guys and trying to.
Well, Steve has
even answering Johnny's questions. I'll have to call him after this and ask him what happened to our non-disclosure agreement.
That's hilarious, dude.
And hopefully we'll get Johnny on here maybe next week or whenever he's ready.
That would be nice.
I'm going to stress him out and tell him, man, I couldn't help it. I went Full Metal Jacket on you, dude. You probably won't be able to show your face again at the tournament.
Dude, don't do that. He'll never show up for the show. Tell him that she was great and to show up on the damn show.
Right.
All right.
There.
I'll get him on the show if you want him on the show.
All right.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes. And yes.
Yeah, give
you might have to play You might have to play goalie for him again to make sure he doesn't get crazy. Or the only way he'll come on is with you. Bring them both. We'll take both.
Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the show too. For both of you, come on the show.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
First of all, on behalf
you're really going to get some insight.
Yeah.
And we're going to get something, that's for sure.
Steve, I can speak for the rest of us here that you are absolutely welcome here anytime. The door is wide open for you. So you're a permanent guest.
Yeah, for sure, Steve. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Hopefully
we'll see you in Vegas, man. We'll see you in Vegas.
All right. I hope to see you guys out there. Thank you.
All right.
Cheers,
Take care, Steve.
All right. Have a good evening.
You
Bye.
too.
Bye.
Wow, guys, I don't know how we're going to do it. It's like each week I'm thinking, how are we going to top that? Steve, that was fantastic.
It's so great having these guys on, especially the guys that go back as far as Steve does, to hear the stories that I learned several things again tonight about Johnny and about Steve and about the foosball tour in general. And it's just been so educational and enlightening week after week, it seems, to talk to these guys and hear their great stories.
And you know, it's stories and it's memory, it's nostalgia, but it's not just that. There are keys to winning in foosball in the stories.
Yep,
Listen to the stories. You could find winning foosball maxims. They're in there. So just listen to the show, man. It's true, man. It's absolutely true.
Well, it's there is a reason why they were top of the field. There's a reason, and of course it has a lot to do with their attitude, the way they looked at life, the way they looked at the game. All of these things come into play, and if you ignore those things, well, you may not necessarily ever be a champion either. So I think that's truly valuable.
Yeah, another great show tonight, guys.
Yeah, well,
Good
guys,
stuff, man.
we're going to do it again next week, no doubt about it. Looking forward to it. Maybe we'll get Johnny on here one of these days.
Call Johnny.
Yeah, get Johnny on the horn. But
here's Johnny.
Our sincere thanks to Steve Beine for jumping in tonight. We really appreciate him being our special guest. Jim, any parting shots?
No, not much. Just take it all one day at a time. People, one ball at a time. Good things are coming. I promise you.
Oh, nice. Mark?
I'm looking forward to next week, fellas. I'm excited about next week. Let's get the week over quick so we can get back to the show.
Cool. Yeah. Let's do it. All right.
Yep.
And Clay, you want to chime in any false stats that you want to point out?
No, I have a real stat though. We're about 20 seconds away from it.
Well, the timekeeper has spoken. Hey, thanks for tuning into FoosTalk Live. I'm Tom Robinson. Let's get together again next Sunday at 9 Eastern Standard Time.
FoosTalk Live is a product of Foosball Radio and Inside Foos TV. All rights reserved. Our sincere thanks to 518 Prince, Foosball Clubs USA, Foosballers the Movie, and the United States Table Soccer Organization. Join us next Sunday for another episode of FoosTalk Live. In the meantime,
we'll see you foozin'.